Hey, this is Bill Ray with Paul Gilbert. I'm sitting here with Bahasa Drum Channel's Adri,
Yeah.
and we're just talking drums. So I invite you to go check out his channel on YouTube, Bahasa Drum, and like it and subscribe. And check me out at billraydrums.com.
So how did it start with Paul?
How did it start with Paul? That's one of those things that's being in the right place at the right time. So I got a call from a guy in Canada who needed a drum teacher for this guitar camp, Guitar Workshop Plus, that was based out of Toronto. And they were doing a program at San Marcos College, CSU San Marcos, California State University San Marcos. And they needed a drum instructor, and so I took the gig. And the first night there was a very famous bass player that came in and did a clinic, and I show up all cheery and I'm all happy. Hey, how's it going? I'm Bill. I play drums if you need my help. And she was like, oh, well, I've got my own tracks that I'm going to play too. And okay, cool. So she played to her tracks, and then the next night there was another really famous bass player that showed up, and I'm like, hey, I'm Bill. I play drums, and yeah. Oh, it's okay, man. I got my own tracks to play. Okay. So the third night, Paul shows up, and I was like, hey, I'm Bill. You probably got your own tracks to play too, but I'm a drummer. He goes, you know any Hendrix? And I was like, yeah, I know all the Hendrix. And he says, let's jam. And so we sat down and started playing, and he complimented me, and I complimented him, and it just felt right, and it felt so good. And I told him, well, I know you're in LA and I'd love to play with you, but my wife and I are going to move to Seattle. And he says, well, my wife and I are moving to Portland. I said, oh, well, that's cool. He says, well, look me up, when you get up there. So after the first of 2016, I sent him an email, and he emails me back and says, can you come down to Portland and do some recording? And of course, that was a big resounding yes. Whenever you want me to, Mr. Gilbert, sir, I'll come down to Paul. And so I went down to Portland, and I played on two tracks. One of them is called U-Turn Boogie, and the other, it was a cover tune of Emerson, Lake and Palmer's The Endless Enigma. And I went and did those two tracks with him. And then I never heard anything about it. I never got any sort of notification that it came on an album or anything, and I figured, he probably I just did the scratch tracks or whatever, and he had like Virgil Donati or Thomas Lang come in and replace my tracks or something, a little bit of self-doubt there. And well, it turns out what had happened is I never got properly credited because they were the very last things being recorded. The artwork for the album had already been done. And so it turns out that I'm on the PG-30 album. It's a Japanese import, and it's the opening tracks on both CDs. It's a two CD set. One is with no vocals. It's all instrumental stuff, and the other is with vocals. So I'm on both opening tracks on both CDs, and was quite flattering to know that I was put there in that position. And I hadn't found out about that until I had gotten the call for the Behold Electric Guitar sessions. And the way that happened was he had been using some guys in Portland just out of convenience and recommendations and all that, because they're all in the local area. And one of the drummer that he had used on it, the busiest guy in Portland, basically. The guy plays every single night, constantly gigging. He's an amazing player. His groove is is so good. He is so good. Brian Foxworth. I got the call for the Behold Electric Guitar session because the drummer that had started the project had some things come up, and so Paul needed somebody to come down quick. So he emailed me and says, he says, first of all, can you do some tour dates on the East Coast. Are you available for tour dates on the East Coast? And I said, yeah, of course I am. Anything for you. And so he says, okay, next question. Can you be in Portland on Sunday to be ready to record on Monday and help finish my new album? And I was, of course I can. So I dropped everything and rearranged my schedule. And granted, this was on a Friday night. So, Friday night and then Sunday I was on my way down to Portland to go do this session. And then we did the rest of the album, and then we went and did the East Coast dates. And then I got a call from him about tour dates in March. And I said, of course I can do the tour dates in March. So that's just kind of how it happened. Just one thing led to another. And because I'm the guy in the video, which is really what, people see the videos and they want to see the band from the video. And so that was a bit of job security, and plus, Paul loves my play and I love his playing, and we're just a really tight family, and it's a really cool unit. So yeah, it's a band. It feels like a band. This, as much session work and as much playing with other groups that I've done, this feels like home for me now, and I'm really I just thank my lucky stars every day that I'm here, and I've been all over the world with Paul now, and I hope to continue doing this as long as I'm able.
Right.
Yeah.
So was it a pressure for you in the beginning when you see Paul had worked with a lot of great drummers?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm painfully aware of the fact that some of the world's best drummers have sat in this chair, and it's one of those things where it's an inspiration to keep myself moving forward and to practice and to stay in shape. You want to be the best you can be, because you see the other people that have been there, and there's a standard that gets set, and he's certainly, he's been voted one of the top 10 guitar players on the planet, and that's an honor that he still has to keep practicing. And the man has got a guitar in his hand pretty much, I'd say, 10 hours a day. And he's a workaholic. All he does is work. He cuts lessons videos. He does over 1,000 videos a year for his guitar school, and he stays in shape. He stays flexible, and he's constantly honing his craft. So if he's doing it, then why aren't I? So it makes me think about who I'm working with, and like attracts like. So when you've got somebody who's that serious about what it is that they do, then I have to also consider staying serious about what I do. You can't rest on your laurels. There's no way to rest on your laurels in this business, because what happened a year ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, that's something that's in the past. So you have to constantly keep looking towards the future and moving forward to create the art that you do.
Right. So what is it like to work with Paul Gilbert?
Well, it's very comfortable. It's very comfortable. He's not a demanding type. There's no pressure. There's no consequence if you get something wrong. Other than if you get it wrong too many times, you have to ask yourself, why am I getting it wrong? Or he'll say something. Well, communication, I think what it is. He'll say, sometimes he'll say, hey, can we take this song a little slower this time? Yeah. Oh yeah, sure, no problem. So it's one of those things that I make a mental note of, and the next time we do the song, we play it a little bit slower, and he's happy. I learned a lot about keeping your artist boss happy from one of my days when I worked with Ike Turner, and he was a guy that pretty much. Well, with Ike, it was like everybody had a day. If it was your day, he was gonna ride you hard all day long. He was gonna mess with you as much as he could, and then once he put you in your place and made sure that you knew who was boss there, then he'd move on to the next person, and it was their day, and you're like, oh, thank God it's not my day there. But with Paul, it's never your day. With Paul, it's like, let's just, let's have a good time. And that sort of environment, it fosters more of a, it makes you want to give more creativity, and it makes you feel happy about what it is that you're giving. And the cool thing, it doesn't make you do anything. You feel like doing it because who are you working with? You're working with the nicest man on the planet. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. That's what it's like working with Paul Gilbert, and he treats us very well. And right now we're sitting in a really nice hotel room, and when we were in Japan, we were in really nice hotel rooms, and he could save money and double us up in rooms and all that, and we have roomies, and that's happened before, just due to budgetary things, wherever it is that we are. But for the most part, everybody gets their own room, their own space, and he keeps us happy. So I feel like it's the least I can do is to give him my best. So that's what it's like working with Paul Gilbert.